of the things that we're really not good at in some regard is positive reinforcement, which I really believe in. I believe that actions have consequences, and I believe that good behavior gets rewarded. Now, that's not always a trip to Disneyland or, you know, a visit to the marina to go on a boat. That's something as simple for me as saying, thank you for being so patient when mommy was on the phone today. It meant that I could get my work done, and now we can go to the park. Then you're sending the message to kids that they're not just getting the attention for mommy, mommy, mommy. They're getting the attention because they waited. It's like in a classroom setting. You know, a lot of I don't want to use the word good, a lot of well-behaved children get left by the wayside in a classroom because the kid that demonstrates the most irresponsible behavior or shouts the loudest tends to get the most attention. So I really believe in positive reinforcement, and obviously I've been doing this for a very long time, and I see good results. Even if you get a little, you know how you have the rules on your fridge, even if it's something like a chart, when you've, so say you're going through the week and they've got a little smiley face for the fact that they made their bed or they displayed good manners, then at the end of the week, you know, they can go for an ice cream or they can have a play date. You know, even something as frugal as getting them, you know, $1 to spend at the 99-cent store per se.
I was about to ask you that, Stella. If you know, it's funny that you mentioned the positive reinforcement, because I believe strongly in positive reinforcement, and I think that some kids work better with positive reinforcement versus negative. My older one works better with positive reinforcement. My little one works better with negative reinforcement. So it's kind of like you have to take out the chip and say, okay, which kid am I dealing with now? And make sure that you're doing both, but also making sure that you're doing what's right for each of them. But I did want to ask you again, because my kids are a little bit older, how you felt about allowance. Because what my fear is that I also don't want my children to get the sense that in life, just because you make good choices or you do the right thing, you're always going to be rewarded. So I hesitate sometimes in creating some sort of allowance in our home, because there are going to be times where you have to do the right thing and nobody is ever going to know. In fact, you know, if you find $100 on the sidewalk and you hand it in to a police officer, you know, nobody would have ever known that you kept those $100, and you're not going to get a reward for that. And so sometimes in life, doing the right thing, you know, is just that. It's just doing the right thing. So can you maybe give us some advice on allowance and what you feel about, you know, how we factor in the allowance into positive reinforcement into the discipline?
Absolutely. That's a question I get asked 100 times by parents. So it's a really good question. And I have, you know, my own train of thought. First of all, there's certain things that you're expected to do with no value in money or gifts or anything, just because you're part of the family. Okay? So definitely, you know, if your 8-year-old is capable of taking the trash out, then he's doing that because he's part of the family and that helps you. But instilling the fact that you want to introduce money into the equation as far as managing money and having a good relationship with money, I do like it. You know, I've worked for some very affluent families, and I'm not about making the allowance up there. Again, you know, the time fits the crime, the payment fits the job. Not a lot of money. You know, even with little ones, you can be starting out at 25 cents. 25 cents to a little one is, first of all, they don't understand what it is, but it's pretty exciting.
Come on, it's a bubble gum from the bubble gum machine. That is awesome.
Exactly. So I do like allowance, but I support you 100%. I think it's a very ambiguous arena, and that you have to tread very carefully. But one thing I want to say, and I say this all the time, when I'm invited to people's homes as an expert or, you know, the mini magician, that's very flattering. But I give my opinion on, you know, almost 25 years of experience dealing with children. I want parents to turn into the expert on their own children. And And you said it, with one child, negative works better, with one child, positive works better. So you have to take sort of all the information around you, throw it in a melting pot, and do what works for you. You may find there may be a parent out there watching us right now who gives allowance to their child and it turns them into a monster. You know, I have to have. No, that's not working. So definitely fit it to your situation. But I like allowance, but I definitely think things should be done completely for free.
I like that.